Okay, we're live. Hi, Puri.
Hey Vinod, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So what? It's been 6 months since we met. This
Yeah,
reunion.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Hmm.
Are you missing an action, Puri? People are missing you.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've been in my slumber mode for a while. I've been sucked into COVID life. I think the last few
Yeah,
days.
looks like everybody's got their own bit of lockdown happening.
Yeah, a bit overwhelmed actually. Lots of things happening the last 1 month at work, at home. Been a bit stretched actually. So this
Anyways,
work.
I think that's something that we all have to go through. It will
Yeah.
I think it'll roll over, but uh, but at least we got something exciting to talk today. So
Absolutely. Yeah, some
coming,
fabulous stuff going on. So looking forward
I
to
was surprised
discuss.
you didn't know about it.
You know what? I've been having issues with my phone that
Acha.
kind of fills my phone box, and I just
Okay.
have to keep deleting stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of weeks I've not really been seeing many messages. I've missed out on many things, and glad you told me it's on YouTube, so I can catch up on a few videos now.
Yeah.
Mm.
It became easier for me to edit and put it out there. Otherwise, I was doing some 101 things and I'm trying to get a hold of it. And somehow I got a hold of it. I hope you like it. I've kept the original logo and the branding, everything relating to our reunion.
Right, right. But I think I would have missed what they've posted. A lot of them, of course, I've been in touch with many of them. So we are on Instagram, and I see,
Right,
their work and things.
right.
So that will
So
help.
let me just make a Google Drive and then separately post as in folders with
Yes.
each person's thing. That will help.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Maybe
thing is,
something.
I'm doing all of this on my own, so I'll get a little overwhelmed.
Right. It's
Yeah.
actually this has become your hobby now. We can showcase.
Yeah, kind of.
No,
It's more than a hobby.
we should
It's
we
wheel
should
betting, but by
showcase
the
the
end of the
showcase
week, I'm
now.
like, who's gonna do it? And when finally I put it up on Saturday, I'm like, I hope people are looking at it. I hope people are seeing it, appreciating it, because I think people are really overwhelmed, and there's so much happening in the lockdown. I think we all need a little bit of normalcy of going back to offices, seeing other faces. It's tough on everybody with old people and kids and ourselves. So, that's life.
But it's a lot of effort, and I appreciate that effort. And we should showcase the showcase.
We'll do that. We'll do that
We can
eventually.
showcase with the showcase.
We'll
Maybe
do
like
that. So
yeah.
anyway, guys, this is episode number 14 with Puri, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna call her Puri. That's how we've always called
Yeah,
her.
I
Purnima
know.
sounds very, very, very formal.
Please, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So
Right.
what are we showcasing, Puri, today?
We will be showcasing my love story with my pen and my technique stippling. So I took on to the steppliers, to that technique stippling, I think somewhere after college, not during college.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
recall doing much then. But
Okay.
yeah, we will be talking about my works there.
Awesome. How did it all start? Where did I mean? We all left college. You went on and did some fabulous stuff. I'll come to that. We'll talk about that. But when and how does stippling start all over again?
Interesting. Actually, stippling we learned as a technique. Obviously, applied art. All our applied art friends can relate to it. In BFA, it was taught, and but at that point in time, I don't think I did it too much. I found it interesting, but I didn't really get into it way too much either. In fact, I must give some credit to Pradeep, who taught me a few techniques around
Nice.
stippling with how do you kind of transfer the image on to paper and stuff, which that I think I keep for life till today. Thanks, Pradeep, if you're watching this. What happened is rotring pens is the technical pen that we use, an isograph pen for it. And at that point in time, it was a little expensive. So I think I
Mm-hmm.
had just one pen, a .1 pen or something that I could afford. In
Okay.
those days, it was 150 bucks or 200 or maybe even
Right.
more. And
Right.
that itself would be like, oh, can I afford it kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was, you would get like an entire set of technical pens, a box
Right.
of
Right.
four, point 0.2,
Right.
point 0.3, point 1, point 5 kind of a entire box. And
Mm-hmm.
an aunt of mine who traveled down to India from Dubai got that box and she gifted it to me.
Wow.
That became like one treasure for me. It was like some 1,500 bucks, 1,500 bucks, which obviously 20 odd
Back
years
then.
ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you're not earning, was like, oh my God, I could
Was
never
big.
afford this, and somebody gifted
Yeah.
it to me, kind of a thing. I fell in love with that box. The moment that box came, I splurged. And by then, I think I got into MFA as well at that point in time. And obviously, the first thing I got that rotary pen, I started off with stippling, but it was a technique that I always liked. It's just that I don't know why I never really got into depths of it. And it became like trance for me, stippling, a sense of meditation, or I don't know what. I would just start. The first piece I did was a portrait by of one of my very favorite musicians, Brindama. I started stippling her portrait. I would listen to her music and I would start stippling, and I just kind of went into slip into that stippling coma kind of a thing. So that's how I typically started, and the flow kind of went in from there. I just kept doing it after that. So my starting.
So when you started, you were still working somewhere, and obviously you're a mom, but you still squeeze in that extra bit of time to do this.
Absolutely. So I obviously don't do this for a living. So it's something that I do out of love, besides my work as such. So whenever I can, I slip in a lot of time. I obviously, in between a few years, I didn't do much work at all. So after MFA, I had one big stint. I had one solo show, in fact, at Chennai at Vinyasa Art Gallery. And the reason I chose Vinyasa Art Gallery and Chennai for my solo show is because I had done an entire series of about 40 pieces of work on stippling with the topic of music. I mean, I have this huge passion towards music. So somewhere that reflected, and my childhood was in Chennai. I learned music. My basics of my music was in Chennai. A lot of chords were ringing there. And Vinyasa Gallery is a gallery that was situated inside the Music Academy, if anybody's been to Chennai, where all concerts happen there. The best of musicians perform over there. And it couldn't feel like a better place to showcase my work in a place like that. Because I know the kind of audience who come inside are the right kind of audience, music lovers, and not necessarily, I mean, obviously the people who regularly visit an art gallery would anyway visit it, but I wanted musicians to also kind of, get into that particular emotion. So therefore I chose Music Academy over there. And it happened exactly in December, during the music season. So every year in December, there is a music season in Chennai that happens at different sabhas and places like that. And Music Academy is one of those prime locations where you have the kacheris, the concerts.
So I would like to add, we've been there. I think Pradeep, me, Amit, and KK, Sheetal, Smita were all part of another group, and we did a show there with Zakir Hussain and Shobana. And till then, it was for us another auditorium. It's only when the event happened, oh man, this is Music Academy. So it's obviously it's very prestigious, and to do a show there itself is a big deal.
Yeah. So therefore, I kind of picked. I did have a sponsor. Obviously, that point in time, I don't think I was making the big bucks either. But I had a sponsor. Indian Oil sponsored the show for me, luckily. And it was an interesting show. I mean, an experience to keep for life, because it was not just visual arts, not just my work. I did about 15-20 portraits of some of the musicians I really love and admire. I've grown up listening to. And I also kind of did works of a lot of musical instruments and things like that. So what I did was, this show was, a lot of musicians walked in to the gallery and they would perform. They sang, I sang along with them, and it was just so much of energy in the gallery. It was, performing arts, visual arts. I mean, quite a memory to take back. If I look back, even now, it was in 2002. Pretty much 18 years.
2002. That's a long time. That's almost like fresh out of college.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just out of college.
Oh, you were doing your MFA, is it?
I did my MFA. I just finished my MFA, and a little after the MFA. So this was in December. Okay. So MFA, I think I finished in June or something like that. So no, I finished. I can't remember, but something like that. But yeah, so that was a memory to keep for life. What an experience!
It's like two of the arts that you really like. One is your music, and your new love for stippling. Kind of both of them kind of came together.
Married in there, absolutely. And it was great that a lot of them came when I even invited them. Some of them just walked in, actually. So it was. They came in and they were like, "Oh, okay, something interesting is happening." And on the spot, they started like Sanjay Subramaniam and all. I didn't even invite. He just heard about the show and he just kind of walked in and started singing with me, and it was nice.
Nice, nice. So of all the things that you do, Puri, music and I don't know what other things that you do, if you could tell, does that have an impact on your this passion of stippling, and does stippling have an influence on the other work that you do? Is there a correlation?
Actually, it depends on my state of mind at that point in time. So it's a
Okay.
good question because that particular time, obviously, I wasn't married. I had my own space. Music was my thing. I would sing all the time or do whatever I want. But after that, somewhere there was a halt. So neither of this was happening. Neither the music. I mean, I would listen to music, but it wasn't like I would get up every morning and do my riyaz and
It wasn't that serious. It was just something that you did.
correct. It was just something that I did. So neither of it really happened at that point in time. So
Okay.
I think as the journey in life kind of continues, there are other things that are happening in my life that are becoming influencers, and that is
Mm-hmm.
also becoming part of my stippling work actually. So the
Right,
music
right,
continues, but
right.
somewhere that is no longer the prime influencing factor, I would say. There are other things that are happening. In fact, there was a
Okay,
halt after that show. I went to NID for a few years, and
okay.
NID is a kind of a place where you get sucked into a very objective form of life. Design is
Hmm.
very objective looking, and you look at a purpose behind things, and your mindset kind of changes when you're in such
Mm-hmm.
a space. So I think that was a standstill with
You were
still.
teaching in NID, Puri.
I was teaching at NID, absolutely. So I was part
What
of
were
a
you
community.
teaching?
I was in communication design. I taught
Okay,
communication design attached to graphic design, though,
okay,
but I was all over the place. So I would teach foundation. I did design drawing for the foundation kids. Then I did obviously in graphic design. So typography was one of my main subjects. So I
okay.
would do typography for cross platforms. I would do typography for textile designers, typography for toy designers, for documentation. So different kinds of applications. So typography was a very important subject that I did.
So before you did NID, I think you were also a teacher at Wigan and Lay.
That's right. For a very small stint, for about a year or so, something like that.
Do
So
they still
that
exist? Are they still around?
I
Are
think
Wigan
they're
and Lay
still
still around?
around in Dickinson Road. I'm not sure they still do
Okay,
design. I think they
okay.
still do MBA or something like that.
Oh,
But
okay, okay.
yeah, I somehow I kind of wanted to teach for a bit because I wanted to be doing my other things also. I knew I was for some reason I felt the industry life would eat away that time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's pretty much where I got into teaching, and I think Wigan was like a stepping stone for me to jump into NID from
Teaching.
there. Yeah. So and then then NID happened for a few years, and in fact that show I did in Chennai was when I was in Wigan. I had the time to do it because I was in a place like Wigan. I don't think I would have
Yeah.
had the time otherwise.
If you were in
So
NID.
yes, NID sucks in a lot of your energies.
Yes, yes, yes.
So a lot of your time and energy goes in there. So though the place is very inspiring and things like that, you just get into different tasks. Your mindset, when you're a designer, your mindset kind of switches
Yes,
a little
yes,
differently.
yes.
So I think there it went a little different, and but when I came back, yeah, of course, I got back, got married, and things like that. So angles were a little different after that. Yeah.
Okay. So how much of CKP life uh, was an influence in your stippling, in what you're doing now? Does it help all that we did then?
Absolutely. I think that applied art influence is obviously there. I don't think I would have known that technique called stippling in the first place. I was introduced there. But obviously, I got into the depth of understanding why. I don't think anybody taught us why was stippling even done. I mean,
Exactly.
it's historically, if you
It's
look at
something we
it,
had to do, and we did it.
correct, exactly. It was more like a rendering technique taught to applied
Right,
artists. But if you
right.
actually look back on what stippling exactly was, stippling
Yeah,
was a printmaking technique. It was started way back
right.
in the 1910s by an
Right.
Italian
I
artist.
I sat and read about it today,
Yeah,
it's got a pretty amazing, interesting history. A guy called Giulio, an Italian, who's an
yeah,
engraver.
he's an
Yeah, he
Italian guy.
started in 1500. Yeah, it's quite.
Right.
And I went to read about it. There's something called head cut and dithering and half toning. It's quite an interesting subject in itself.
Absolutely. So, in fact, in printing technology, much later, the Americans used it as a half-tone technique later.
Right,
Obviously, when we
right.
didn't have technology to support it in terms of pre-press and things like that. So, there's a history to it, which obviously I got into the depths of it a little later. I mean, much later when I started exploring and I started questioning myself, obviously, why I'm doing this and, going back to where it all started. So, yeah. So, but the CQB influence was there in terms of its introduction, definitely. I still recall the days we would all do stippling and submit the next day and things like that.
Did you guys still in your specialization? That's your third, fourth, and fifth year. Did you do that?
For what, sorry?
Stippling as a subject or as a media. Were you guys still doing it in third, fourth, and fifth year?
I think we did it only 1 year. I don't remember which year, third year or fourth year. We were taught.
No, we did it. Gowda introduced us to it, or somebody in Rodik Institute introduced.
Was it?
We all did.
Yeah, I remember
stippling. Otherwise, there's no reason for me to do stippling. I'm a painting student.
That advertisement thing that we all did. Right. Yes, I remember. Right. Yes, right. But I don't think that ever sunk into my brains. I was way too.
So one was the stippling, the other one that 45-degree angle.
Rendering. Yes. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
That bottle we all did. Yes. It was a green-looking bottle that all of us did, and I definitely remember I did Manju's submission. Yes, Manju, if you're listening to this, I did your stippling submission.
Manju, it's her mistake. I didn't bring this
Only
up.
stippling
it's on her.
Hey, but she was excellent at her rendering, Manju. So I remember that very well. Stippling I did overnight, and I remember that very well because my mother. I did it at 9, and then she asked me, I thought you already finished yours, then why are you doing another one? I said, I'm doing it for my friend. And she's like, what kind of a girl are you sitting and doing for others in the class? Because that concept was very weird for my parents. So,
yeah. I quite never, I appreciated when somebody else did it, but I just didn't have the wherewithal or the patience to do it. As an artist, I was in a different realm in the way I look at art, and I like to do fast work, and I've always been that way. So my next question was based on that. This is something that you need to be dedicated. This is something you need to have a lot of time on your hand. And even if you don't have time, if you get off, you need to go back, zoom into the same feeling that you had. And it's so time consuming. You need to have a lot of patience to do this. How do you do this? In today's, I can understand when we were students, it's different now.
I think over time, it's become a part of me to stipple. I, in fact, do it. Lately, it's busy with life, as a working mother, it's tough. You're on calls. There are several days when there are times in office, 2-3 days, there are no projects or, it's slightly quiet. Now I'll slip into stippling mode. Quietly here, laptop, somebody will be in some meeting, I'll be busy sitting and stippling at that point in time also. So I think it's just become totally a part of my life that I can probably, if I've got an idea in my head, I will probably sit any point in time and sit at a length and I'll be able to stipple. That focus automatically comes when I kind of sit. It's just that to get into that mindset, I need to get there. I mean, if I'm into too many things, like I said, when I was in NID, I couldn't do it. I wasn't in that mindset. I couldn't get there. Though I was living alone, I had my space and things like that. I think once that mindset is there, you can just go for it, no matter what time there is. That I was able to do.
And I almost asked the same question to everybody who's come on board and who's doing stuff like this, who's multitasking, but at the same time goes and pursues that particular art or anything that they pursue. If of all the things that you do, when you come back to do this, do you wait and say, look, oh, I can't wait to get back to stippling? Or when you do start, even if you don't wait for it, even if you don't have the urge for it, when you do start it, is it very calming? Is it very meditative and saying, wow, this is Alex hai?
Absolutely. It's like, this is my zone. This is where I have to be. And there are so many days when I see that paper on my thing, and the first thing I'm saying, I'm quitting my job. I want to do only this. But no, then it kind of practicality sort of hits you. This is not your living. Just do this whenever you want to, kind of a thing. Yeah, but yes, you're right. I just wait for that chance to dive in and do some bit of stippling for myself. Absolutely.
So most of the works that you, I've seen some of the works, and more of them are portraits, while you've also dabbled in other forms. So is it fair to say that it's more commercial art? Initially, when it started, it was also like engraving was happening on coins and portraits of people, right? But that doesn't stop with somebody, and you actually have a lot of biblical illustration, other, surreal art that was done, but again with stippling. Do you see yourself also doing those kind of work apart from doing portraits?
Very good point, actually. That's how I started, actually. Like you said, if very first works were portraits of those musicians, and of course, I also did a lot of musical instruments and things like that. But they were from a genre called photorealism. If anybody studied
Right.
photorealism, they from the 1960s and 70s, when
Mm-hmm.
Americans took over from pop art, photorealism became extremely popular back then. So that was
Right.
the
Right.
genre where I kind of pitted my work against. It
Right.
definitely wasn't contemporary art. It was high level skill, what I was doing. What you see is what you get. And in fact, at that point in time, if you look at some of my interviews, what I was trying to say is everything is, there's nothing original in this world. Everything already exists. It's how
Right.
one kind of harnesses it and, takes creativity
True.
from it, kind of a
True.
thing. So it started off at a very high skill point.
Mm-hmm.
I was in love with photorealism. I would admire works of photorealistic artists like Chuck Close, if you've come across. In fact, I didn't even look through. I don't think any stippling artist is my inspiration, or I haven't. I don't take the time to look through others' works, though there are a lot of stippling artists now. But I think I looked up to artists like Chuck Close. I was in MFA that time, and we had these
Can you
really
spell
lovely
that? I would like
books.
to look up sometime.
This guy's name is Chuck, Chuck,
Okay.
Close.
Close. Close.
Close, yes, exactly.
German.
Chuck Close. No, American painter.
Okay.
So he would
Okay.
do these. I just fell in love with his works. I mean, if you Google him, his works on Google, I don't think they do justice to the kind of work he actually did. Painter, sculptor, he would do these amazing life-size soft sculptures. It would feel like flesh. I mean, if you looked at those images, if you ever come across photorealism books and things like that, and fantastic, really massive size portraits, especially a lot of his self portraits were in fact done. So he
Oh,
would
okay.
kind of, yeah, and he would do a lot of abstract distortions with his self portraits, heavy on
Okay.
experimental, but still
Okay.
somewhere achieve the photorealism. So
Okay.
I really looked up to artists like that in terms of how do they even, get to that. It requires a lot of patience, requires a lot of grit to actually finish a piece of work. So
Yeah. Yeah.
as a person, I am like that. I take something, I have that grit to kind of finish it. It kind of comes within me. So I think taking on a challenge like photorealism with a technique like stippling kind of threw that challenge at me. So at
Right.
that point in time, I think photorealism was the inspiration point for me to achieve in my work, and that kind of went across. But later on, for photorealism itself, you do require that kind of a reference to work on realism and things like that. But in terms of a subject that I kind of deal with, it moved on beyond that. There was realism. I'm not sure it would hit the note of photorealism after that, but so I started working on a lot of my creative aspects in terms of compositions and crops and what I want to show in my work. In fact, in 2011, I participated in something called the Sketchbook Project. I don't know if many of them are already aware of it. It was a project, a community project that was initiated by the Brooklyn Museum of Art in New York. And you are given a topic to kind of illustrate an entire sketchbook that they send you. And after a long break, after I got married and things like that, I wanted to kind of get back to my stippling, and that became a certain starting point. So if you look at the subject over there, it moved on from just portraits and getting into the crux of too much of photorealism. Realism was definitely there, even there, but it was more everyday subjects that I was dealing with. Probably, luckily, I also got that topic to illustrate. But the topic was first things in the morning and last things at night. So I kind of
Okay.
captured I was started freezing time. Anything that I saw, it could just be someone sweeping the floor, or someone in the potty, for example, or the milkman dropping the Nandini milk packet outside my house. I started freezing time and capturing that into my illustrations. And somewhere I kind of liked the everyday life things that go unnoticed being captured into my art.
Okay.
That part of it became very strong in terms of what I'm capturing there. So realism was still there, but I'm not sure I was still focusing on too much of photorealism.
Okay.
That's how it kind of moved. And now, I mean, that realism still continues. I think with stippling as a technique that will always stay. It's all about details that
Right.
and I love details. I love looking into details. Maybe getting the details of wrinkles of somebody's face or a mole, for example. Something unnoticed that is being noticed and put on paper. I absolutely love doing that. So I think
Right.
stippling as a technique does justice to that side of me. Yeah.
Yeah. It just makes sense because it's just a technique that supports that kind of an art.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It just kind of it fits in the bucket, I would say. Yeah. What I wanted kind of as a technique, and I think I got glued onto it. Not that I do only stippling actually. I mean, there are a lot of other things that I also do.
Right.
But somewhere it always comes back to the focus of stippling and what people would like to see again. They'll always ask me, why are you not doing that? And things like that. So yeah, focus comes back there.
So I think as of a couple of your works, and all of you also would. So you've already moved on to the next experimentation. You started adding colors to your work, and that is quite rad. It looks nice.
It looks nice. Okay, I don't know. It's experimental because stippling as a technique gives you a lot of depth in terms of. I mean, that's the difference between pointillism and stippling. Like pointillism, you get color, tiny bits to get that kind of variation. But then stippling is very monochromatic for you to bring in the depths and the textures and things like that. So there lies a certain challenge when you add the color. Obviously, with stippling, I'm very particular about the pen I use. So there are tons of artists who use any fine liner pen. You have the Micron and the art liner, that entire range that comes with 0.5.
What do you use?
I am a total loyal person to my technical rotary, where I started my love. Sometimes.
Are they German? Are they German or?
Rotring is German only, I think.
German,
yes.
No?
Correct. Yeah. Yes, you're right.
So you have the whole set.
That that first set that I got, that doesn't work now.
Well, it dried up.
It dried up. I was so dumb not to wash it. That NID life of mine, it just messed up.
You can't fix it?
No, I tried a lot. In fact, I tried soaking it beyond 48 hours and stuff like that. I think I had not taken good care of it.
Maybe soaking in some kind of oil or turpentine.
I should figure it out. Yeah, I figure it out. But I've got too many pens now. That's different. I mean, now that I have the money to buy it myself, I started investing in pens. But I have like most of the thicknesses and things like that.
The only person that I knew in college time who had the entire set was Amit Bhatt. So Amit Bhatt had the entire set. For some reason, Sheetal took it. And it's been 20 years he's been asking Sheetal. So if he's going to see this and if Amit is going to see this, she needs to return that. And even in reunion, he reminded us, like, you need to give me my
How
rotary.
Can you not give back a rotary box? I would have died.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's there somewhere safe, but I think now it's on record, and I think there's something called Dunzo. I think that should work.
Please, Marty. Otherwise, send it to me. I'll use it.
What you have, you can just clean that up, and I'm sure if nothing, I'll try to see if I can find a.
That box is lying here only. See, this my love. No, this is that love, that 25-year-old love that I have. Oh God, so, it's become.
Amit has got a pen set, or rather, Sheetal's got a pen set. Amit's set, which has got about 5 or 7 in it.
Oh wow, that was available back then. I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah.
But they were expensive pens, yeah. I mean, for them, even now they're expensive. Now each pen is $800, $900 and things like that. Wow. Yeah, wow. But the thing is, I don't use the overly thick ones. For typically the smaller pieces, I stick with my 0.5 and 0.1. And the larger pieces, I do the 0.2 and 0.3. So I don't enjoy working with the 5s and the 8s and things like that. So
on an average, Puri, let's say if you got to do my portrait or anybody's portrait, how long will you take on a good day? I know it also depends on your mood, and that day you feel fast, some day you just feel lethargic and you're slow. But on an average, how long do you take to do?
It depends on the size, Vinod. So if I'm doing something as small as like a 6 by 6 inch piece, I could finish it, and also on the details, both what my reference point is. But on a normal day, on a reasonably not overly detailed ones, a 6 by 6 can be finished in a whole day. So if I start in the morning and I sit at one shot, obviously I take my lunch breaks and things like that. One day I can finish it. But on the other hand, if I'm doing something as large as say a 10 by 10, for example, I think I'd require it, span it across about 4 days at least, minimum at least about 4 days. That's the time span that I take for it. And it also depends on the pen that I'm using. If I'm doing a 0.5 or a 0.1.
Each time you alter a little bit depending on what the subject is?
You know what, when I start a work with one pen, whatever it is, 0.2 or 0.3, the whole thing is done with that. Yeah, I don't change pens in between my work. So that decision is made before I start my piece of work, whether it's a 0.1 or a 0.2 or 0.3, and I stick to it throughout the work.
Okay. I went through a lot of your work. I went through your website, and I now follow you on Instagram. But this work is something that's very close to my heart.
Yes, it has a beautiful story to it, in fact.
Who's this and what's the story? Why is it so? Okay.
Shemmangudi, I don't know if any of you all have heard his music. Amazing singer, no more now, of course. So that show that I had in Chennai, it was all about emotions also. So the photographer, the original photographer, one Mr. Raghavendra Rao, he came into my show. So obviously a lot of credits go to him for giving me the references. In fact, he's a pioneer in photographing musicians. That's his job. He photographs musicians. So it's not easy to get a copy of his photographs in the first place, which I got. And he was old man. He was kind enough to come to my show and see it and things like that. He stood in front of this particular work and he cried. He cried so long, and I was just watching him. I stood in one corner, and then he said, "This is emotional. What you've done. Have you even gone and shown this piece of?" Shemmangudi was alive that time. He was in his 80s. Now he's no more. Have you even gone and shown it to this man? I said, "No, I have no contact. Obviously, he's a celebrity. I'm not sure if I can even approach him." I don't
very, know. Very detailed work. Very detailed work.
Thank you. So it kind of caught on to people's emotions when they kind of saw this piece of work. In fact, it's just somebody it's kind of close to my heart also. That's one of my favorites.
I really like it. I like the sheen on the glass. I like the skin, the texture. I also like the way the photographer originally shot it. The sense of light falling on his face, a little bit of hair that's just sprouting back there. It's so well captured.
Right. Yeah. I think he was very moved that I did justice to his reference as well. So he was so happy when he kind of saw the output at the end. But he was like, "This is miracle. I mean, what you've done." And it's nice when somebody can emote to a piece of visual art. That doesn't happen very often. I mean, performing, obviously, music does that too, obviously, because of the science behind it. But for him to emote in front of my piece of work, I think was compliment to me.
So when you start your stippling, do you look particularly for black and white pictures?
Not at all.
You take a color and then convert it into a black and white and then start the process.
I don't even convert it to black and white many times. So if I have I think I've shared a couple of posts also where I do quite a bit of portrait orders. So they sometimes just give me some very old photograph of sepia tone also will come and it'll be given. Though, I mean, many times I just do it directly from the color also. I think my mind kind of works on the black and white tones on its own. It should not.
So you get a better sense of negative and positive space doing this for so long, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Kind of get used to understanding the highlights and the depths, and it kind of just falls in place automatically over time. Yeah.
So there was a point. I do sketch, but not as feverishly as I used to before. Now because we're talking, I'm already looking at your face. I'm looking at where the highlights are, where the dark is. When you do something for so long, you start, and sometimes it's quite how do I put it? It's quite because you're looking at a body in a very different way, and you're looking at
Correct.
somebody in your mind, you're sketching, and suddenly the person, what the hell are you doing? You're like, how do you explain what you were doing?
Yeah,
And
that's
this is
true.
something I've done even as a child, sitting in the church in the first row. I love the statue with this thing, and looking at the muscle structure. Everybody's standing, everybody's standing, and I'm the only one unpacking the statue, looking at the muscle structure. And because you're
Yeah,
constantly only drawing it in your mind, and after CKP happened, it just became more. So sometimes, even when somebody's talking, sometimes you forget the conversation. You're looking at how the lip is going, the distance between this to this, the distance between this to the arch here, and how. So, and especially when somebody's got a very, so you need not necessarily be a very photogenic person for a portraiture, right?
yeah,
Especially when you're an artist, you're looking at those abnormalities which really come out really well when you're doing art. So that
right.
becomes a kind of a thing. Does
Correct.
this happen to you? Doing this for so long, do you see things in black and white or in
Actually, I
stippling?
do. I do. In fact, I don't even need such a great photographic reference these days. It's gone to a point where you give me a normal photograph taken on your phone and give it to me. I will just rework it in a way it will suit a stippling kind of piece. I will give you those highlights. I will give that depth to it. I'll work it my way. So a lot of things might be different from the original photograph that you see over there, the crop and
Yeah.
the composition and the depths. So I think, like you said, your mind starts working that way at that point in time. But yeah, I do start looking that way. Yes.
But I'm a little pissed off with you, Uri.
So what?
The reunion, you should have done stippling of all our faces and given us a copy.
Yes, but you know what? Right after the reunion, the sketchbook that we all got back as a return thing, I actually started doing portraits of all of you all each day. But
Oh, I was
yes,
just
but they were
joking.
not
You're actually
stippling.
doing it.
I did pencil that we got, that
Yeah,
6B.
yeah,
I
yeah.
put that to use. So I started. I think I did Praveen's. I did Nanda's. I did Sushma's. So
Nice.
one by one, I started doing. I wanted to finish that entire sketchbook with only your portraits. Everybody who attended, or
Nice.
whatever, all our friends. But somewhere that stopped halfway. Maybe I'll finish that sketchbook and show it to you all then.
Next reunion, all that has to come out.
When is that
It'll be
next reunion?
awesome.
2020. After
I know.
pandemic. Skype reunion will happen.
I know. It's. I've been waiting to catch up with everybody. Start doing these small trips with whoever's available in whichever weekend. But it's just not going to be happening anytime soon now.
Tough times.
Yeah.
Tough times. Right.
So great, Puri. Uh, Stippling is something that I really do not have the patience to do it, and it's so heartwarming to see somebody diligently pursuing it and doing it, because the kind of person that I am, I really feel it's a tough thing to do, and you require a lot of patience, immense patience,
Exactly.
and dedication to do it. And I'm so nice to see you do this and pursue it. I I I wish you all the luck, and I wish you do more shows. And this time, please invite wherever it is. I'll come.
Thank you. I mean, although I don't work towards shows, I just kind of do whatever comes to my head and I keep working. And when I suddenly realize I have like a gamut of work, I should probably
Yeah, it's like
do it.
Jatkar
But
sir, man. I mean, he's been doing amazing stuff. Do you even see the stuff that he puts every day? He's putting up an artwork.
who's?
Jatkar sir,
I know. In fact, Jatkar called me
amazing works.
last. He called me last month. In fact, and he said, "Now ibru show madana, pen work marta
You
idini.
should,
Let's do show
you
together
should
and all." He
similar.
said
It's
it
similar.
was
It's pen
really
and ink and
sweet
all
of
of
him.
that.
Yeah, he
I
does a
was
lot of
blown
things.
away. I knew that he used to doodle a bit, but the other day I went to college sometime back, and then I saw the works, and then I've been following him on Facebook, and I've been liking it
Lot of
each time
work.
he puts. It's Shilpa's and Satish's and Jatkar's work. Anytime they put anything, I just love what they do. And he was sweet enough. He ripped open an old frame. He took one of his recent works. He sat there, framed it for me, and he gifted me. Uh,
Right.
very sweet of him. So I think you should take it up. You should take it up.
It's really
And you
sweet of
should
him
have
though
the show in
to.
CKP. And that should be probably a kind of a pseudo reunion, if we could.
Absolutely. May your words come true and may I work towards it first, actually.
There were two parts to it. May your words come to, and then the other part was like,
No, with
nice,
no
nice.
works, I can't show anything. No, I mean, but though I've been
Yeah.
doing some work lately, but what I've been doing lately is completely different from what I used to do before. I've been doing a lot of work. The inspiration, it started with my son, drawings based on him, and then it's going into a totally different tangent now. So hopefully
Does
this.
any of your stippling come into your other part of job, your design and thinking and all of that? Does it play
Not
a
at
role, or
all. Though, of course, my illustrations do come as part of work, since I work as part of packaging and
not
things like that.
stippling per se?
Not stippling, not that particular technique. A lot of line drawings come when, for example, when you do instructional illustrations for a packaging, things like that it gets used, but not stippling nowhere. Stippling is dead and gone, actually. I don't
I know.
even
I
think
wish there's
it's,
something to revive it and bring it about. No.
yeah, it's really not something, not many of them can even connect to it. In fact, they're like,
Yeah.
unless it's more like, oh, wow, so much patience and so much work goes into it, but it's I think it's an emotion by itself. Like, I get into
Yeah.
trance. Literally, I get into trance when I start doing it. So at peace when you kind of start doing it. Yeah. I do
I
a
mean,
lot.
it's
Yeah.
like music, isn't it? There are so many genres of music, but then you like that one particular genre. It might be old and nobody's listening to it, but it's still a genre that you appreciate and love. And I don't know. I wish there was a bigger platform of really using it in real world, because uh, your photography is already doing it and all of that.
So
It should be
technology has
something to go
taken
back.
over a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody even asked, why would you want to, some this guy who came visited home once, looked at my work and he said, why do you want to go through this entire pain when you can just put it on Photoshop and get that effect and get done with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
True,
mean,
isn't it?
what is the point? You get the same output at the end of it anyways. So why are
Yeah.
you kind of going through this whole pain? But obviously, you don't understand it if you. That means you haven't connected to it when that question kind of
Right.
comes
Right.
across. The whole
Right.
process that goes into it, right from understanding what subject you want to do to selecting your reference point to how you translate that onto paper. It's quite an entire journey itself.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
get it. So, yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure. My last question, and this is something that I mean, I did not think of it, but as you were saying, and about this being an old media and how it's kind of moving away. Have you ever tried doing this in digital with a Wacom tablet or with the
You,
iPad or something?
I just came across. I have an iPad Pro and the
Pencil.
iPencil. I mean, I'm not very savvy with technology that way. I illustrate on the Procreate, but with stippling, it hasn't been great. But I did come across a particular pen meant for stippling lately. I forgot what it's called, but
Okay.
it's been designed for people who want to do digital stippling,
Oh,
apparently. So
nice.
I thought I'd
Nice.
give it a shot. I just came across this couple of days ago, in fact.
Well, there's a pros and cons. I know I said it. I'm playing the devil's advocate. It's nice to try something new. So people probably will see it in a different thing, and more people will take up to it, and then again it could become popular as a trend. But then it's like with anything that's analog and digital.
Yes.
Earlier we only had 36 pictures in a roll, and you got to be the best, to shoot
Yeah.
all the 36, right? Now you have an option of deleting it. I'm sure with digital that's going to happen. So maybe your concentration levels will not be the same because every dot that you put in stippling in an analog world, in a real world, you can't go back and rub it. You can't undo it. But with digital
Absolutely.
gives you that little kind of edge saying, okay, I
Yes.
can make mistakes.
That's exactly why I've been one of those old school types. That's the beauty of stippling. You go
Yeah,
wrong once, the
yeah,
whole piece is gone,
yeah.
completely trashed. So you've got to be at it when you're kind of doing it. One dot wrong, it's gone. And I'm very particular about my dots. I make sure that my pen is at 90 degrees. I do not slant it. The minute you slant it, you get strokes and you don't get dots. So when you
Does your wrist pain end of the day doing that for a long time?
No, I think
Do
that
you
is
get
also got
fatigued?
to do. I start getting backaches because I sit at a stretch, but not the wrist. I think I've gotten used to that angle now.
Maybe if it's on a slant or something and not
No, it's
not a
not
straight.
comfortable. I prefer the flat
So,
because your hand has to be at 90 degrees. So the moment you go to a slant, your pen doesn't work very well because it's at an angle. So,
okay.
and when you're completely this way, also
No, no, I'm not saying 90-degree, like a
hmm.
slant, so you can rest your thing and then still no. Like these architects and engineers use, no, that what
The
do you call
slope
that?
board. No, somehow
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pen, that angle, that perfect 90-degree angle is perfect when your paper is flat on than at any other angle. Your wrist also starts hurting actually if it's at another angle. So it's perfect when
Okay.
it's
Okay.
absolutely flat.
See,
So
small things like this, no, we've all done it, but I've forgotten the stippling. You need to be extremely, the same pressure point and then keep it exactly straight and not slant. I'd forgotten
even
these
the
things.
choice of pen actually matters. How you kind of
Oh,
decide
okay.
what pen to use for what work. That also makes a huge difference. So you've ended up. So say for example, I want to use a point 0.1 pen for a two. I've started doing very large scale pieces like 2 feet by 2 feet stipplings and things like that. I'm moving large scale also. So for things like that, if I end up doing a point 0.5, the effect is a little too minuscule for you to get details also. So I'll have to
Okay.
move to a point 2 or
Okay.
point 3. Vice versa, when I'm doing something really small like a
You
6
have to
by
go with a
6,
small thing.
absolutely. So when I'm doing that point 0.3, it gets too humongous each dot for you to achieve the kind of detailing that you want to. So that kind of decision also makes a big difference when before you start. And I never change my pens in between. It's just seamless at one shot.
Anybody in your circle, are you part of any club or anything which does this, and you guys kind of showcase to each other and nothing like that? You're just doing it on your own? I'm
Yeah,
sure there's a club,
I'm
and I'm sure
socially
there are more
very
people like you
poor.
out there.
That way, Vinod, I'm socially very poor actually. My own cocoon only most of the time.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know you're socially very poor. No, 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 no wonder you pulled off the reunion.
no, that reunion was very emotional. I missed you all so badly that point in life. I was like, oh my god, where are my friends? I want that kind of a thing
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
I'm so socially isolated I became that I needed all of you. So that happened. But what was I saying? Yeah. Why did I went to social suddenly for something else I was saying?
I don't know. I was asking you if you have a club, you have other people that
See,
you know who
online
are
now,
doing this.
Instagram and all is happening. You have an entire page called Dot Work now. Only
Oh, okay,
stippling artists they showcase, for
okay,
example. So,
okay.
like that, there are clubs, but somehow, see, I'm very old school and laid back that way. I just do work for myself and not to showcase and things like that. But Instagram is fun. I'm just realizing that when you put
Right,
it up,
right.
there is a certain reach and stuff like that. But otherwise, I haven't taken that extra mile to be a part of a club or anything, though I've been following that dot work now thing. That it's good to see there are a lot of other, until then I didn't even know there were so many stippling artists in the world. So it's good to see there are a lot of people, the kind of subjects that they've been choosing and things like that. It's nice to see their work. As well. Maybe at some time I will reach out to dot work now and my works may get
You should, you
showcased.
should. Maybe that rub off will happen. Probably you'll get more projects, so you can slowly kind of move on from whatever you're doing into this. And this is more giving, isn't it? You feel more satisfied doing this.
Yeah. But yeah, currently I'm doing two projects with stippling, so it will take some time. So
Okay,
another huge sketchbook project that's happening, and
nice.
I think an extension of that lockdown project of the drawings of the kids that I did. Got a lot of ideas basis that, so I'm kind of starting work on that soon. My references are in my head right now. I just have to put it on paper. Yeah, that should happen soon.
Awesome, awesome. So when do we get to see that?
Like I said, I don't know. I let it go again, and once I start, I'll go in a flow. I know that. I just keep slashing it out. But like I said, this whole month hasn't been very easy for me. At home, at work, very stressed out actually. So I've actually missed my work. I haven't been
With the
drawing.
school now started all of
Yeah,
that, right?
just lots
Classes and all that.
happening. Very stressed out. So last week I had a portrait commission, so that kind of kicked up some energy. So once in a
Okay.
while I get these portrait commissions that slip in that kind of jerk up my energy. So once I started that, I felt okay, I haven't done work kind of a thing. So hopefully by next week I start off some work very soon. Yes.
Awesome. Wow. We've spoken for 48 minutes, and I don't think I've
Everybody's gonna
pressed.
shoo both of us.
No, the thing is, I don't think I pressed the recording button.
No, it says Vinod is recording the call.
I'm kidding.
How dare you? Okay, so
Uh,
anything can
okay,
happen.
since morning I'm following you now, and it says you have some 85 posts, but I'm only able to see about 10 or 15. Why is that? Why have you blocked
Why?
me? I don't
Everything
know.
is there.
I don't know. It says 85 posts.
That's another thing you're pulling
No,
on
no,
me.
no, no, I'm not pulling a
I
fast one
suck
on
at
you. I don't know.
technology. Really?
I'll send you a screenshot. Anyways, I will. If you want, I will unfollow you and follow you again. Please accept my request with love this time.
So that
Maybe I'll get to
everything
see all
comes up.
85.
Yeah, we'll do that. Thank you so much, Vinod, for all this effort. Actually, I mean, I wonder how you're even doing this patiently, kind of reaching out to each of us and taking the time
Oh, I
out.
love doing it. I've been a chatterbox all my life, so I love doing this. I love having conversations with people, um, and even during the lockdown, it's kind of like a low period for everybody, isn't it? So it's
Yeah,
nice to reach out to people to understand what each one is doing. There's so much of giving and sharing and learning from each other. And with each person that I speak every week, that I take back something. I started looking at, like I keep saying all the time, I now look at flowers in a different way. I'm going to start looking at black and white contrast, which is going to pull me back to your stippling. With
yeah,
everybody, it's been a journey like that. And
nice.
unfortunately, with some people, the conversation didn't go that well because of technology sucked, because of network issue, and we're not able audible, especially with Gaurish's thing. So we will do a rerun. But this was amazing. This was probably, apart from Shilpa, I think this is one of the longest conversations I've had.
Wow.
Can you believe it's an hour? It's an hour of yap 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 yap.
Yay! Lots of stippling
Yay to
talk.
you.
Actually, we could have done some other talk also in between. Some jing jing
Like,
talk, jing jing talk.
for that you need to call back
Hemant.
Hemant.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Hemant, if you're looking at us.
Oh, Hemant is too busy nowadays.
Oh, lilies, more
Yeah,
lilies.
everybody's for some reason or other. But
I can,
be connected, Puri. Don't go away.
absolutely.
There's some good stuff happening in the group. Not much now. It's kind of mellowed down. But I urge you all guys again to look at what Puri has done, appreciate it, give your comments, interact with the artist, get to know more. And definitely, I'm going to share this video tomorrow, all of you to see. Go to our YouTube account. We have an official YouTube account. The Rotary Group has a YouTube account,
How
and
cool
anybody
are
can use it. And this is just one of the firsts in the series. So this is a talk show of hobbies and passions. Maybe once this is over and done with, and if there are not too many more people to share, we'll probably move to a different series where we only talk about the good times we've had in college. I'm sure people will have funny incidents, people will have inspiring incidents. That'll be fun to talk. And in
college
that
is
format,
college was college, yeah. I don't know.
yeah,
The best
yeah,
part of my life, I would say, is to take
yeah,
over. I mean, I don't know
yeah,
if
yeah.
school was anything, it made any difference in my life, but college is college. What a great
College,
time we had.
college is college, but I think being a CKP and being there, studying as a college had a different edge to
There's
it. I really
something
believe in
about
that.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There's something
yeah,
about it. I think that will always stay in my life. Life at
yeah,
CKP and the times we've all
yeah,
had. The first few years, in fact, at foundation and
yeah.
wow, amazing time.
Okay, did you know this, that you were one of my first friends?
Of course, and you're saying this again and again. Now that you've said it so many times, I'll never forget it.
I don't think I said it on the
Judy,
podcast.
you, me, we were all the first ones.
Aparna, Deepa Kamath, Judy, and you. We all used to have lunch together.
Correct. In that near that temple area somewhere behind those
Right.
rocks. To go and sit.
Back in the days, I was very shy and coy and wouldn't talk much to
You were
girls.
not so shy also for the amount you claim you were shy. You were not so shy.
I was. This was
From
the
day
first time
one,
I'd
you
come
made
to
me
a.
laugh. I remember.
Okay, that I don't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. One big giggle spot we all were. Then you, me, that whole boys gang. I remember Prakash and Pradeep, Amit, Nirmal. We were all the time giggling. Oh, what fun!
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll
yeah.
never get back
It
those
was a
days.
it was a riot. 80 of us or 70 of us. Oof.
No
Initially, when
worries.
we were all of us together in one room, that was chaos. And then we got the sections which kind of broke my head. Like, oh, well, this guy is going to go away. This so and so is going to go away. But still, it was nice and fun. And I miss the old campus, the huts and the
I know.
cobblestone canteen.
I heard some work is happening there now in college also.
God
Some
knows.
some renovation work that art gallery somebody told me in fact recently.
So I think once what we could do, Puri, and this was one of the things while we were thinking of reunion last year, was to go visit the new campus, all of us, whoever could, and all of us travel together in a mini bus, go to the old college, say hi to everybody, take a picture there, take a mini bus, and go to the new campus and have lunch or something and get back.
I'm already getting emotional and oh god.
We should, but it's just that the timing is so screwed up right now because of the pandemic.
Thank
I hope
God a
some.
reunion happened before this
I
pandemic.
know it was that close, isn't it?
That
Imagine
close to
all that effort and all that planning and all of us waiting to meet each other would have gone. I don't know.
I
Good
mean,
it
it's
happened.
not that, but it's about meeting everybody also, no? It would
Yeah,
have
yeah.
happened otherwise.
I mean, look at the kind of energy and emotion that was pouring out in the first 2 days. People had to like, hello guys, chill, relax. People would go do something and come back like already 500 messages have kind of come in. So that
No,
was crazy.
you won't believe it, I actually cried before that photograph when I saw of Yatish that was posted on Facebook, which was the spark for this whole thing. I cried when I saw it. My husband was like, "What are you sitting there and crying for?" I said, this picture just reminds me of a whole, it was like a volcano of emotions just erupted when I saw all of you all. I was like, where are these human beings in my life? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
so
yeah,
beautiful those days. So that's
yeah,
all.
yeah. Good. I think we at least did that. We met a good number of people, though we missed out a lot of people. People who didn't want to be part of it, and then people who wanted to be part of it for some reason could not come. But then it was superb. Uh, uh, I'm just waiting for another one. I can't wait for the next one to happen.
You're already doing one every week, so it's quite a channel to it, I guess.
Well, this is kind of probably keeping a small section of people together, listening to one other person. The thing, what I actually wanted to say is, you got to be curious about what each one of us does. We've all gone to different walks of life. We've come back, and we all have mutated in a very different way, in a lovely way, and that we know now, which is coming out through some pursuits of hobby, passion, or something that everybody does. It's nice to put it out and for another person to see and learn from it. And if we don't have that curiosity now, we all have kids, right? What are you teaching them? If you're not going to be curious, your kids are not going to be curious about the world around them. You're talking about a small bunch of people, about 20, 40 of us, who are pursuing something. And I think that should be appreciated. I'm not saying this because I'm doing the podcast. I'm just saying people are just so blinded by what they do. I'm sure all of you, no disrespect, all of us are busy, all of us have issues and problems and jobs and blah blah blah. But 5 minutes to just take and say, hey, nice work, this is amazing. And if you really spend a little bit of time on that, it comes back to you. It may not come back to you today, perhaps at a later time. That hits you, that comes back in a different way. Something else happens, you adapt that piece of thing to your life or to your work that you do. So I urge you guys all to look at the podcast from that perspective, and also come out and show what you guys have. And I'm sure all of you are pursuing a lot of things. Don't be shy about it. And I'll do a podcast of mine too a little later, uh,
Showcase of the
just to
showcase.
kind of set the tone. Huh?
Showcase of the showcase definitely will happen.
Yeah, that'll be the last. But so that's what it is. So Puri, it was great, great,
Thank you.
great talking, and hope to see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock and with your lovely works.
Thank you so much, Vinod, and I hope everybody enjoyed this talk as well. And my very best wishes to you, Vinod. I hope this year turns much more fruitful. And looking forward to more of the podcast now. I'll first go and do all the backlog that I have of the YouTube. Thanks for putting it on YouTube. I'll go check out that first. And all the best. Thank you so much, and catch you tomorrow.
Thank you, and best
Thanks.
of luck on your endeavor of stippling, and I wish you do that exhibition soon.
Absolutely. I'll keep you all posted for sure if that happens soon.
Great. Chalo.
Thank you. Good night.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.